Jay-Z is rushing to stay out of Diddy's newest criminal trouble after Netflix said 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy and everyone who worked with him is coming out next week. People say Jay-Z gets shown in this documentary with video proof that he was involved. At the same time, some leaked video of Diddy from inside federal prison just came out. 50 Cent has shared the release date for his Diddy documentary. Sean Combs' The Reckoning is dropping on Netflix on December 2nd. 50 Cent put a caption with it, "They said I was capping. What happened? And it's been so long now, I really thought maybe he was just joking and this documentary wasn't real, but clearly I was wrong because this is totally official." Not only is 50 Cent posting this himself, so he's not trolling, but multiple news sites are confirming it too. And right now I bet Diddy is super nervous about what 50 Cent is going to show in this documentary. You know, 50 Cent was connected to the whole Diddy trial stuff. Plus, we can't forget that during the Diddy trial, people said Diddy wanted to hurt 50 Cent. 50 Cent keeps making fun of Diddy all the time. So, I think he's about to really go hard on Diddy in this documentary. It's going to be really bad. This is one documentary I'm definitely going to watch just to see how 50 Cent puts it all together. Right after Diddy got arrested back in September of 2024, 50 Cent said he was teaming up with Netflix to drop a documentary that would show some of Diddy's crimes that even the feds didn't know about. He says he collected the proof himself over the last 20 years. People say he knew everyone Diddy was connected to and he was ready to expose the main guy behind it all. Speaking of in particular Netflix docu-series that you've been working on, did he do it? Right. And you've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character, right? And yet you said you weren't a part of that lifestyle. You weren't going to the party. But what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true? Well, I'm surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out. I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way he would present the idea of going to these projects to come party with me. Yeah. And then that swayed me away from it. Just that alone. So you didn't realize as much stuff was coming, like when I see today it was allegations of 3 men that said he drugged them, and it's a long time to be honest with you, like when people don't remember being violated for 20 years. It makes me feel a little hard. What are your thoughts on the allegations against Jay-Z? That was interesting. I didn't when I was saying things not knowing exactly what I was saying. I was going where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. Like while the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also, you know. So I hope it works out, cause with his family, the things that go on internally is that those accusations are crazy. 50 says his docu-series doesn't talk about the current gossip, but instead it's going to explain exactly how Diddy's criminal setup worked. People say the proof in this docu-series is what started a brand new criminal investigation into Diddy. Don Combs is now facing new claims. This time from a guy in Florida. According to ABC News, investigators in LA got a report from a police department in Florida where the guy who says it happened lives. And now they are looking into the case. Eyewitness News anchor Mike Marzo in the newsroom with the very latest details. Mike. Well, David, here's what we know. The new allegations of sexual assault against Sean Diddy Combs come from a music producer who went to police in Florida, but the alleged crimes happened in Los Angeles. Jonathan Hay is his name. That's the person who filed the complaint and is one of the John Does that filed a civil lawsuit against Combs in July. The first alleged incident was in September of 2020 in LA, Hay alleging that Combs performed sex acts in front of him and asked for oral sex. In a second incident in 2021, Hay claims that C.J. Wallace, the son of the rapper Notorious B.I.G., took him to a location where 2 men put something over his head, he says, before Combs forced himself on Hay several times. Combs is currently serving out a sentence in Fort Dix, New Jersey, following his conviction earlier this year on 2 prostitution-related charges. Combs's representatives have not yet responded to this lawsuit. David, thank you, Mike. These new allegations were just one of the more than 100 civil cases filed against Diddy. And keep in mind, just one criminal investigation can send both Jay-Z and Diddy to jail for the rest of their lives. Jay is Diddy's oldest friend. And in Diddy's own words, Jay-Z is the only one who knows all of his secrets. What are the chances that one of the 100 witnesses coming after Diddy is going to expose Jay-Z, too? There's a lot of negative stuff around Jay-Z right now which is clearly damaging to him. Yeah. And I think there's like a famous quote from someone who was acquitted and he said, "All right, where do I go to get my reputation back?" Right. I mean, social media was a light. Beyoncé's next. Jay-Z's next. All the people in Inner Circle is next. Yeah. And the problem is there are just so many pictures of the two of them partying together. ND he clearly was at a lot of Diddy parties. How powerful was Jay-Z when you were doing business with them? Was he already a power player where if he wanted to ruin someone's life or make somebody a star, he could do it? Met Jay-Z and I signed to Rock Nation. I didn't want to drip myself in blood and cover myself and swim in goop in black goop and like wear devil horns to, __, sell a record. __, that. Or be a witch or be that. All of that. __, all of them. King Academics reacted to the recent announcement from Netflix too and talked about how 50 has a ton of evidence against Diddy and his accomplices. What most people are forgetting right now is that Diddy was arrested on charges of RICO. And even though he was found guilty of transporting adult workers, no one else was convicted. How is that even possible? 50-50 I'm not even going to lie to you. I thought he was trolling cause I do think 50 is a guy to kick you when you're down. And Diddy did seem like he was down for a long time. Pause. And I thought Fifth was just trying to kick his back in. It was clear that 50 wanted him to go to jail for a lengthy time, maybe for the rest of his life. And I've said personally, I really think that 50 wanted him to go to jail because he was, __, his baby mom's. You get what I'm saying? And that's what that is. However, it looks like 50 wasn't playing around when he had announced from back in the day that he was going to create at that time he called it the Diddy Do It doc and he said he was going to do it and all intended he said he was going to do the doc and put it out with Netflix and it appears that he wasn't capping. And Netflix has actually put out a press release. Variety and other outlets picked it up and they've announced that there is a release date December 2nd which is the Netflix documentary series from the executive producer Curtis 50 Cent. T. Jackson and it is called Sean Combs The Reckoning. It's going only be on Netflix and yes 50 is the executive producer. Now I'm going to be honest with you, this is a huge power move by 50. Now, I love 50, so we're not going to get into certain stuff, but 50 doesn't have the cleanest history. Sometimes I feel like when they go for these type of docs, the surviving R. Kellys, they go for the most woke person to present the doc because you kind of need somebody to soapbox. With all due respect, I'm not saying 50 had free coughs and __ like that, but 50 is 50 Cent, bro. You know what I mean? It's like 50 Cent isn't the most modeled human being. Not saying he's been accused or he does stuff that Diddy does, but 50 is 50. We know for a fact that an industry elite was seen on Diddy's freak-off tapes, but was never convicted. As more and more evidence comes out against Diddy, it is starting to become abundantly clear that the person who was seen with Diddy was actually Jay-Z. It has also been reported that Diddy is fully cooperating with the feds and ready to snitch on whoever they want. Did he always been the type of individual that wanted to have UPS on the next person no matter what they was doing? He did the stuff to Jaw so he could go after Jay-Z. They not going to come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them. And they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being all up in the whole 9 yards until the feds say, hey yo, listen here. Hey buddy, we got you on this tape and our girl looked like she was pretty young. We're not going to show it, but we need you to come and testify against Brother Love. That's when they going to start talking and they not going to be talking in this favor. 250 cameras all over the house. Somebody got caught stealing a cookie out the cookie jar. When you're that powerful, you didn't get that powerful without having 1 or 2 or maybe 3 ups on somebody. So now we have 2 people come out saying that he was talking to the feds. Do you think that's true? Whether it's true or not, and he might have been cooperative in some way, shape, or form, you don't get away with human traf. And that's not what happened here. I can tell you, Jesse, that this investigation's been going on for a long time. Very closely held by HSI. So much so that even some of the agents on the raid a week ago today didn't know whose house they were raiding until they got there. That's how closely held this investigation. 'Cause there could have been a tip. Absolutely. And there are allegations that he was paying law enforcement through his chief of security, which also happened to be Michael Jackson's chief of security. I don't know if I buy into that. You know, people in Diddy's situation like to have those involved in law enforcement close to them, but that doesn't mean they're taking payoffs. That doesn't mean they're doing big favors. They like that closeness. It's just like how Diddy was able to court Diageo or Estee Lauder. He was very successful in doing that, and that made him a lot of money and gave him credibility outside the hip-hop rap world. And that's what he was trying to do here. A lot like what Epstein did with very powerful political and business people. Gene Deal has also confirmed this. He saw it with his own eyes. Diddy was working as a confidential informant for the federal government. Diddy's confidence came from the fact that he was a snitch. He wasn't untouchable because he was powerful. He was untouchable because he was useful. As long as Diddy continued supplying intelligence, the feds had no reason to come after him. And now they're using him to come after Jay-Z. That's a confidential informant. They'll let you do crimes long as you don't do no and stuff like that. They'll let you go around and pay you to protect them. You understand? To protect him. We had a lot of people on the payroll when we was doing security. Everybody had somebody might have this first 10 hours, that 10 hours or whatever. He was paying law enforcement. He had a budget for law enforcement. Now, if something goes wrong, those people got friends in certain places. Then, plus he tells his handler, yo, can you make this go away for me? I'll give you this and that. Now, that could be a lot of speculations or whatever like that, but why would you have or be working for an FBI agent if you're not an informant? Why? So when you got that kind of money, you could hire people to make a lot of things go away for you. Like you hire lawyers. Those lawyers have police officers and people working for them and investigators. Those investigators were former officers. So all them in the backyard in Diddy bed together. Diddy's plan to get out by snitching on the people close to him might actually be working. TMZ recently reported that a presidential pardon is being arranged for Diddy, and Diddy might get out of prison as early as December. Diddy could be a free man by the end of this week. We broke a story last night that Donald Trump is seriously considering commuting his sentence, and there has been a lot of fallout with our story. By the way, commuting his sentence before he's even in a prison, right? He's still at Brooklyn MDC waiting to find out which prison he's going to. But this is something that our President Trump is considering. And the fact that he's considering it is causing a bit of an internal war at the White House, because not everybody in the administration thinks this is a good idea. So we are told this and this is coming from somebody high up in the White House. We broke that story incidentally that right after the sentencing, his legal team, Diddy's legal team, got in touch with somebody who had the president's ear, and that the president was looking at the paperwork, and the president acknowledged that in like 2 days later. Yeah. In the Oval Office 2 days later. So we now know that Trump is considering. We're told that he's kind of waffling. He's going back and forth on this, but there are staffers in the White House telling him, don't do it. 50 is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Diddy and Jay-Z end up behind bars. After finding out that Diddy was planning to use a presidential pardon to try and escape, 50 said that he was going to personally call President Trump and ask him not to give Diddy a pardon. As it turns out, however, 50 didn't need to make any calls. Less than a week after it was announced that Diddy might be getting a pardon, Diddy was caught drinking in prison. This is a very serious offense, and because of this, Diddy might actually end up with an extra year on his sentence. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs facing more time behind bars. His release date pushed back to June of 2028 instead of May of that same year. The news coming after reports of Combs drinking in prison, something he denies after he was accepted into a rehab program in prison that could have reduced his sentence by up to a year. He's also been accused of making a prohibited three-way phone call from prison. Here to make sense of it all, NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Mallers and defense attorney and friend of Top Story, Sarah Azari. Guys, thanks so much for being here, both of you. So, Chloe, I'm going to start with you. I'm being told you spoke to Combs' rep earlier. What did you learn about this issue? Sure. So Combs' representative, Judah Angelmere, telling me by phone earlier today, Tom, that yes, a three-way call was made between one of Combs' lawyers who did bring in another person on that call with Combs while he has been at Fort Dix, but that there was nothing improper about it. But again, that is not something that you were supposed to do at all. So those lawyers should have known better. As for drinking, he doubled down and said that Combs was not drinking and that in fact he's been admitted into this very specialized rehab program that Fort Dix offers is actually going to potentially lower his sentence. He could be released earlier because of that. So, they're saying he's done nothing wrong and that any reports that he has been drinking is completely not true. Sean Diddy Combs is setting the record straight about his life behind bars. Following a report that said the rap mogul, who is serving a 4-year sentence for 2 prostitution-related convictions, was caught drinking homemade alcohol in prison, his spokesperson emphatically denies the allegation, telling People magazine in a statement published November 9, there have been several false and reckless reports circulating about Mr. Combs. He has not violated any prison rules. His sobriety and self-discipline are priorities and he is taking them seriously. The 56-year-old was recently transferred to a low-security correctional facility in New Jersey after spending over a year at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. At the new institution, he was alleged to have created a mixture of Fanta, sugar, and apples, which ferments into alcohol after 2 weeks, TMZ reported. The spokesperson continues, this is only his first week at FCI Fort Dix, and unfortunately, rumors will surface throughout his time there. We asked the public and press to give him the benefit of the doubt, the privacy to focus on his personal growth, and the grace to move forward in peace. Around the same time, videos of Diddy from inside prison also started leaking. And believe it or not, Diddy actually looked pretty happy. Does this look like the face of a man serving time in federal prison? We got video of him at Fort Dix reporting for work in the library where he is making recommendations and handing out different movies and books for his fellow inmates. I'm really fascinated just by the library itself. You're seeing him here. This is him reporting to work, taking off his jacket. Yeah. Taking off his scarf and settling in for a day on the job. It looks like a public school library. Yeah, this was the chapel and this is the media library in the chapel which is where Did is currently working. He is working in a Life Connections program which is an 18-month program that helps rehab people and get them closer to spirituality to our charity groups. And with that it will shorten his sentence. But in this media library he helps inmates with religious material, rent out movies, that kind of stuff. You see him pushing AATV on it. Yeah. I mean, he was in the laundry room when he first got there. Yeah. This got his first assignment. This got to be a promotion. Yeah. And it feels like a promotion. Or it feels like maybe he tried the laundry room and put in a request for something different. Yeah, it does. It does sound like he used maybe possibly some connections to get a better job. 50 Cent started clowning on Diddy immediately after this footage was leaked. And according to him, the reason Diddy is smiling is because he's exactly where he wants to be, in the middle of handsome men. Probably the biggest troll in the rap game, man. Or it's Diddy's birthday, November 4th. Oh, yeah, man. Today. Yeah, it's his birthday. Yes. And he happens to put up a post of him and there was some pictures released of Diddy on the yard with a couple other prisoners. Crazy to see prisoners, right? He had Bad Boy East, Bad Boy, that's Bad Boy Prisons. But he put up a picture of those pictures and he said he looked too happy to me with all them handsome men around New York City. Wow. Oh my God, dude. How does 50 get away with this? I don't know. Because we were talking about, man, 50 don't lose any brand deals. He don't lose any endorsements. He can walk in and sell TV shows. Oh, yes. You know, he can be in the boardroom and also be petty as hell, too. Yeah, man. Even when he sat down with us, he kind of explained a little bit about him and Diddy and the beef. I haven't had issues with Puff. I don't like him like that. Like I don't like things that he would do and make me speaking on Diddy. We speaking on Puff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But I don't have that thing where I like, well, we ain't had no thing. I wasn't sending nothing at him. If it was on the street side like that, we would be actively doing things to each other. I still don't understand. And we wasn't doing that. I was still trying to figure out like, yeah, you do a lot to do a lot. And the uncomfortable part was when he was talking to the Breakfast Club and he was mentioning how Diddy wanted to take him shopping. He said something fabulous and he goes, yo, no, we know but me and you, we ain't party. Like we need to party. What is he talking about? When people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time a long time ago at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You going to make me mess up the wedding? Oh, that's a nice gesture. Let me get out of no, dude. Take me. That's what a guy says to a girl. Hey, dude. That sounded like something would say gesture. Like, no, you don't crazy. You know, say, I'm going shopping. What's crazy? Is that the first time like any artist has said that about taking them shopping? Really? I've heard it from other artists like about Diddy taking him shopping. No one hates Diddy more than 50. Even during Diddy's sentencing, 50 was writing letters to the judge trying to get him to somehow sentence Diddy to life. In his letter, 50 talked about just how dangerous Diddy actually was and how he might come after the victims if he was allowed to get out. 50 is writing to the judge. All right. According to the letter, all right, 50 says, Dear Judge, I've had an ongoing dispute with Puffy for over 20 years. He is very dangerous. Multiple times I have feared for my life. I think you should consider the safety of the general public, Your Honor, before unleashing him upon them. There hasn't been enough time for him to reform or make any adjustments despite his trying to teach a class in there. As you are already aware, the government has spent the maximum amount of money on deploying federal agencies, which appear to be an army in 2 locations simultaneously. Later, his son, who's dealing with his own rape allegations, claimed that the feds had hit the wrong house. Anyway, Diddy's only going to return to hiring more male ex-workers and keeping most of the baby oil away from the general public, and babies need it. My Netflix doc on this scandalous subject is coming soon. There are more than 100 civil cases against Diddy. And if even one of them has enough evidence to warrant a criminal investigation, Diddy's in for a rough time. As the rest of them start to unravel and more victims are proven credible, the pattern of behavior strengthens. More witnesses come forward and suddenly what looked like isolated allegations turns into a documented history of abuse and coercion. Just when we thought we were done hearing about Diddy, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department confirmed that they are investigating Diddy. And they confirmed that they are investigating a claim against Diddy of SA that came from Rihanna's former publicist Jonathan Hay. Jonathan Hay also recently came out and confirmed that he is a John Doe who filed a lawsuit against Diddy earlier this year. Once you hear the details of why they're investigating Diddy, it's actually pretty crazy to know that the police believe that there is something here to actually investigate because the claims against Diddy in this one do sound a little bit crazy. In 2020, Jonathan Hay entered into a recording contract with Biggie's son C.J. Wallace. Jonathan co-produced Big Papa House Mix with C.J. Wallace, Diddy, and other people from Frank White's team. During this collaboration is where these allegations from Jonathan Hay are coming from. Jonathan Hay claimed that he walked in on Diddy watching adult films and pleasuring himself and then finishing on Biggie's t-shirt that was around at the time because they were getting ready to enter Biggie's clothing into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jonathan Hay then claimed that Diddy looked at him, threw the shirt at him, and started laughing and said, "Rest in peace, Biggie." This is where C.J. Wallace is going to come into play. Jonathan Hay alleges that C.J. Wallace and Willie Mack lured him into a meeting where Diddy would allegedly essay him. Important to note that C.J. Wallace did just sue Jonathan Hay earlier last week, claiming that all the allegations that he made against him were false. He claimed that once he got to this meeting, Diddy was yelling and screaming and ordered everybody else to leave but Jonathan Hay to stay. And then Jonathan Hay would claim that Diddy tried to put it in his mouth. Now, Diddy has denied all of these allegations, saying that they're all false and they're all meritless, and he looks forward to fighting this in court. I will say it is very crazy that Los Angeles Police Department have launched an investigation into these claims against Diddy to try to figure out what exactly happened. At the same time, beating a civil case is a lot harder than beating a criminal one. Diddy can't plead the fifth and he can't hide behind his lawyer. In a civil case, he can be forced to testify, forced to hand over documents, forced to respond directly to accusations. And that is exactly where powerful people slip up because once he's under oath, every answer is a potential trap that can send him away forever. Misty, I wonder what leverage and how this changes those civil claims because he is facing a mountain of civil claims. It felt like they were coming fast and furious thereafter he got indicted on the federal charges, the criminal charges. Then the civil deluge of lawsuits started to come out. Does this change the calculation on the civil side at all? Does it help him? What do you think the effect might be? So certainly there were so many civil lawsuits, it was hard for us to even keep up. They were filed every single day. There so many and they all have different types of civil claims. The claims that were raised by Cassie Ventura, that case has been settled. That case would have been directly impacted by this verdict. Now, the civil standard is much less than a criminal standard. So, the cases still go on, but certainly the fact that he is not guilty on many of these charges, that's going to be something the defense and those civil actions are going to raise. They're going to say that this pattern that a lot of these civil lawsuits allege that there's a pattern of conduct. Well, look at this criminal case. There's been a determination. That being said, it's not binding on any of those. So, those continue on. And the standard is so different. So much lower. So, it's beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal co. The highest standard under the law. In a civil court, it's what's called preponderance of the evidence. Meaning if you believe he engaged in the conduct 51%, so just over half, then he can be found liable. So it's liable, not guilty. And the result of that is civil damages, meaning money, not liberty jail time like a criminal case. But he's still got a lot of legal issues to face. I don't think those civil cases are going anywhere. They're going to move their way through the courts. They've been on pause. But interestingly enough, Laura, you don't have the same Fifth Amendment rights that you do in a criminal case. The final straw is that Diddy no longer controls the narrative. Footage is being leaked. 50 Cent's documentary is coming out. And worst of all, witnesses who actually saw the freak-off tapes are speaking out. Diddy even tried to sue one of these witnesses for $100 million but failed. Now, this witness might just be part of 50's documentary where he'll reveal everything. He said he saw Justin Bieber on this tape and he appeared to be underage during this time. He also saw Usher on these tapes and Usher definitely appeared to be underage. And this one gave me the chills because we've heard that Usher is the one that sent Justin Bieber to Diddy. Courtney Burgess sat down with the Two Wrong channel here on YouTube and started naming some of the celebrities that he saw on these tapes. Were kids involved in these parties that you can verify from looking at the tapes? If Justin Bieber was older than he supposedly been? Yes. If Usher was older, well, Usher was definitely young. Okay. You understand? It showed the part with his in the blood was all in his bed. You know what I'm saying? It looked like they came home from a party. Went on to explain how Danny Boy was also in one of these videos with Mary J. Blige and Diddy together. And Danny Boy admitted when he was 15 that J. Blige flew him out to New York and he slept with her while he was underage. Mary J. Danny Boy. Danny Boy. Okay. You know what Danny Boy is? I heard that before. I don't I've been so far away from hip-hop I forgot, but I have heard that name D-Boy. Danny Boy back then he like about 16. They both was about he also claimed that Jaden Smith Will Smith's son were in these videos. And he also said that there was photographs and videos of Diddy eating off of young girls' pictures or images of any of this stuff. And yeah, I got him Justin Bieber, Will Smith's son, Justin, whatever his name is. Other females on the table, they was young. He was eating off them. A lot of entertainments in there. I got calls from certain number one to get the tape out of my hand and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Jay-Z is laying low, staying silent, and avoiding cameras because the worst thing that could happen right now is that his name ends up in that documentary next week. So, let me ask you, do you think Jay-Z is guilty by association or guilty by involvement? Did he just look the other way or was he actively part of Diddy's secret world? Drop your thoughts in the comments. 1.6s fast.